KPG 66.5, Dinosaur Talk Radio. Your favorite prehistoric podcast for research, entertainment, and all things dinosaurs.
Welcome, dinosaur fans. I'm your host, Dinosaur Ranger Anthony, and I thank you guys all so much for tuning in today to episode number 24 of KPG 66.5 Dinosaur Talk Radio. Today we're talking about the famous Bone Wars. The Bone Wars between two mighty, intelligent paleontologists looking for all kinds of bones on the American West. I'm so ready to literally dig into this topic. It's going to be such a blast. But you guys, you are listening to KPG 66.5 Dinosaur Talk Radio, your favorite prehistoric podcast for research, entertainment, and all things dinosaurs. All those terrible lizards, you guys, all those prehistoric creatures from all of the rock layers long, long ago. We are ready. Episode number 24. Here we go. Today is Friday, May 15th, you guys. We're only 13 days away from Memorial Day. So summertime is just right around the corner. Get your swimsuits ready. Get your sunscreen. Get your favorite summer drinks, your Dr. Pepper coconuts. I am just obsessed right now with the Dr. Pepper creamy coconut. It is just so good. I've got 4 boxes in my garage fridge, you guys, and we need to go get another 4 boxes. But anyways, you guys, we are so close to summer. This week, I had a little bit of calm before the storm. And what's that mean? That means this Sunday, I start 153 live events, traveling all across the state of Nebraska, you guys, from Omaha, here where I live, all the way to Scotts Bluff on the other side of the state. It's going to be it's so enormous. I can't believe it's finally here. This spring has gone by so fast while I've been doing all my preparation for my summer's new show, Tale of the America's Greatest Dinosaur, and it's just so incredible. So you guys, I had a little bit of an off week. I didn't do any live events. I was still doing a lot behind the scenes, but I had a little bit of a breather before Sunday when it really begins. So 153 event starts on Sunday, goes through like August 15th. So I'm going to be extremely busy. But you guys, this episode is brought to you by the Bone Bros Fossil Freight Company. Those are the Bone Bros. If you have fossils that you need transported across the country, you guys, use Bone Bros Fossil Freight Company, and they are there always for all of your needs, okay? They're always there when you need a fossil to depend on, and you got to get that fossil all the way across the country, okay? Bone Bros Fossil Freight Company. Dig it, ship it, established in 1877. All right, you guys, so today our podcast is on the Bone Wars. Now, before we get there, quick segment number 1. We've got to do our Steggy's Pizza. All right, let's grab it. Here we go. What kind of pizza should we have today? Anchovies? Triceratops? Parasaurolophus? I don't know. Let's grab one slice. One fact, everybody knows the rules. Let's see what we got in here. We got, let's see. We'll shake up all those pizza pies, you guys. We'll open up our box. We'll grab out one random slice. All right, here we go. Birds are living dinosaurs. Every time you see a bird, you're seeing a dinosaur. That's right, you guys. So when we look up into the sky, we look down to the ground, we see those birds. What I want you to look at is their legs. See how their legs are constructed, how their legs are built, how they're going up into their hips, you guys. So birds' hips are very similar to the dinosaurs who lived so long ago. So that's one reason why we now believe birds are more of the descendants of some of the dinosaurs than like reptiles, like crocodiles and alligators, lizards, turtles. Even though they're reptiles, they kind of look somewhat maybe they look, their appearance of their skin. We believe, when you see dinosaur skin, you always think of Jurassic Park, this scaly reptilian-like skin. So you go straight to reptiles like crocodiles, alligators, and lizards, chameleons. But it's actually the birds that have become the descendants of our dinosaurs. So you guys, birds are living dinosaurs. Every time you see a bird, you're seeing a dinosaur. That's one fact. Everybody knows the rules. All right, let's go ahead and move into our segment number 2, our episode lesson for this evening. For this morning, it is still morning. It is 10 a.m. here in Omaha, Nebraska, Central Standard Time, rocking that 10 a.m. in the morning. This last week, you guys, this week, next week, 10 a.m. podcast times, had a little bit of conflict, and then we'll get into next week. When we do next week's podcast, we will talk about the podcast after that. It's going to be epic. My schedule is so full. We'll talk about the podcast moving into the summertime. Hopefully I can still do a few throughout the summer with so many shows. But you guys, let's go ahead and move into our episode segment of today. It's the Bone Wars. Those ancient Bone Wars, those paleontologists from so long ago. You may have heard of them. So let's go ahead and dive on in, okay? Let me go ahead and make sure to grab my YouTube chat here really quickly, too. If you're following on YouTube, watching later on, or even listening or streaming on any device, after I upload it on Tuesday mornings. Shout out to everybody, all of my listeners. Pop out my YouTube chat. I see David is there in the chat. Good morning, David. Is it thundering where your house, or is it just thunder here in the Dino bus? Hopefully a little bit of both. We do have some thunderstorms coming through Nebraska this weekend, so we need to hunker down for sure. But you guys, what are the Bone Wars? What are the Bone Wars? Or is it a war between bones? So skeleton dinosaurs rose from their graves, and then they started battling each other in some kind of epic Halloween dinosaur showdown with fossils and zombies and all kinds of things like that. Now that would be cool, but no, it's not any kind of Halloween dinosaur movie, okay? The Bone Wars essentially is a rivalry between two paleontologists to find more fossils than the other. But what makes it famous is all the stuff that happened in the rock layers, everything that happened in between. So I want you to imagine, let's go back to the Wild West. Cowboys are riding horses. I should have been a cowboy like Toby Keith. Trains are crossing the frontier, and deep in the Rocky Hills, scientists are digging for something incredible. Dinosaurs. We want to find more dinosaur fossils. But two scientists want the fossils more than anyone else. And at first, they're friends, and they start sharing ideas and discoveries. But soon, their friendship, you guys, turned into a fierce rivalry. They became very, very competitive. They argued, they competed, and they raced across the American West trying to discover more dinosaurs than the other paleontologists. Their battle became known as the Bone Wars, and it's one of the most famous rivalries in the history of science and paleontology, okay? Now, let me introduce our gentleman of the evening. We've got Othniel Charles Marsh, or you sometimes may hear O.C. Marsh, and then we have Edward Drinker Cope, or Edward Cope. So, O.C. Marsh, Edward Cope, you guys, two paleontologists, began off as friends, sharing discoveries, like I mentioned, talking about fossils, I'm sure, just enlightening each other about prehistoric life. And then they became bitter rivals. They wanted to find more dinosaur fossils or any prehistoric fossil more than the other one. So both of them, you guys, love dinosaurs, love discovering ancient animals, and studying fossils from the past. Now, like I said, they raced across the American West trying to discover and name more dinosaur fossils than the other one. The gentlemen were friends at first, like I mentioned. O.C. Marsh, you guys, a paleontologist from Yale University, and Edward Cope, a scientist in Philadelphia. Both of them love dinosaurs and all kinds of prehistoric life. Now, you guys, when they first met, this was back in the 1860s. Can you guys remember that long ago? 1860s. They worked together. They respected each other's discoveries. But their friendship wouldn't last long. In 1868, Cope invited Marsh to visit his fossil site in the state of New Jersey, where fossils like Hadrosaurus had been discovered. Now, during this visit, you guys, Marsh secretly arranged payments to some of the quarry workers so that any new fossils that were found after that, he would send them back to Yale University. So Marsh essentially started the wedge in their relationship. Hey, I'm O.C. Marsh. Here is a little bit of money, a little bit of dough, and you're going to start sending the fossils to Yale University. Anything you find from here on out, and you're not going to give them to Edward Cope. So that is where we're getting our first little bit, our first little wedge in their friendship, like I mentioned. So you guys, like I said, during this visit, O.C. Marsh paid those quarry workers to send the fossils back to Yale University instead of Cope. Now, when Cope learned about the deal, you guys, he felt betrayed. How would you feel if someone you thought was your friend all of a sudden told your workers, hey, you're going to start sending the fossils over to my museum, my university? You would be enraged. You'd feel betrayed. And that's how Cope felt. So you guys, when Cope learned about the deal, he felt betrayed, and their friendship began to collapse. This was the first major break in their friendship. And soon after, Edward Cope reconstructed. Now this is later on, okay? So that's the first little hiccup in their friendship. A little bit later, you guys, Edward Cope, he reconstructed a long-necked marine reptile. Let me see if I can grab him. I want to open up one of the drawers here in the Dino Bus. Here he is. All right. So I got it right here. All right, so for any YouTube watchers, I've grabbed one of my Jurassic World toys right here, okay? And this is essentially the creature we're going to be talking about right here. So you guys, Edward Cope reconstructed a long-necked marine reptile called the Elasmosaurus. The Elasmosaurus. Now, you guys, that animal had an extremely long neck, as you can see on the figure right here. It has got those 4 fins, 4 little flipper-like guys, and a little tail behind it. So think of it of the sauropod of the seas. So you guys, it's like a plesiosaurus, Elasmosaurus, same kind of thing. So our Elasmosaurus right here, you guys, what happened was Cope accidentally, during his reconstruction, he put the head on the tail. So he had it having a small neck with the skull on it, and then had a very long tail behind it. So that's how Edward Cope thought it looked like. We're seeing those animals for the first time. And he reconstructed it, which was an error, a mistake. And what happened? What happened, O.C. Marsh? He found the error, and he told everybody about it. Look, Edward Cope, he can't even build an Elasmosaurus correctly. And as you can think, Edward Cope, he was very embarrassed, and he was probably sad. And there's even stories about he went and tried to buy all of the magazines, all the papers that had his reconstruction in it, naming the new species, you guys, I believe. And he tried to buy them all so that no one would see the error that he had accidentally made, okay? So you guys, the animal had an extremely long neck, but Cope accidentally placed the skull on the tail end of the skeleton. And when Marsh saw the reconstruction, he pointed out the mistake in front of other scientists, and Cope was embarrassed. And that, you guys, and like I mentioned, Cope reportedly tried to buy every copy of the magazine that showed the error so nobody would see it. So you guys, these two events together basically turned the rivalry into an open hostility and sparked the Bone Wars, our topic for today. Now, from that moment on, the two scientists became bitter enemies, and soon they were racing across the American West during the time of the American frontier, each trying to discover more dinosaurs than the other. Their friendship had turned into one of the most famous scientific rivalries in history. Now, during the Bone Wars, you guys, Marsh and Cope didn't just dig the fossils for themselves. They're not out there doing all the digging. They've got teams. So they hired teams of fossil hunters to search for bones across the American West. If one team found an important fossil bed, the other scientists wanted to know immediately so they could rush there too. Sometimes workers even paid to secretly send fossils to the other scientists. The competition between Marsh and Cope becomes so intense that sometimes they try to even hurt each other's work, you guys. Both scientists sent spies to watch the others' dig sites, and some dig teams even damaged or buried fossils on purpose so that you guys, their rivals, wouldn't be able to study them later on. So all kinds of sabotage. They're doing all kinds of things, spying on each other, wanting to be the first ones to the quarries, the dig sites. They're blowing up stuff so that when the other team leaves, the next one can't come in and start looking either. They're doing all kinds of things that is essentially hurting science. It's hurting our development to be able to find more things for the future. So the competition between Marsh and Cope became so intense that they sometimes tried to hurt each other's dig sites and all kinds of things, you guys, even trying to hurt each other's work. So both scientists, they sent all those spies all around, you guys. It would have just been crazy madness during the Bone Wars. Now, these spies were always trying to figure out what the other side had discovered. Now, when a team found large fossils, they packed the bones into crates and shipped them by train back to the museums and universities towards the east. And the spies would try to sneak into the train yards and the stations to peek inside the large crates of dinosaur bones being shipped back east. Now, if they saw something important, they would quickly send a message back, you guys, to their scientists and let them know what was going on. There are even stories that fossil dig sites were blasted with dynamite after the best bones had been discovered and taken out of the rock quarries. So today, you guys, paleontologists would never do this, right? It's damaging the fossils, it's damaging the earth, it's damaging education, it's damaging anything new that could be discovered, and there's so much out there, there's enough for everyone. But these two scientists, O.C. Marsh, Edward Cope, they wanted to be the first ones there, getting all kinds of the fossils, right? Now, because fossils are incredibly valued to science, that's another reason why we just wouldn't do that nowadays. You know, we might feel a little bit of, I wish I found those fossils. I wish we were just there. We could have found them too. Maybe a little bit of jealousy, but nothing like during the Bone Wars back in the 1800s, okay? Now, during the Bone Wars, the competition had become so fierce that winning sometimes mattered more than preserving the fossils themselves. The scientists also argued in newspapers and accused each other of making all kinds of scientific mistakes. Sometimes they even rushed to publish their own discoveries, and in doing so, they made errors. And they made errors, all kinds of naming errors, you guys, on their fossils. I should have grabbed it right over there in my science lab, you guys. I've got a book, and it's all about the Bone Wars, the Gilded Dinosaur, and it's about the early paleontology, and then about O.C. Marsh and Edward Cope's rivalry. And I read all over the place, at least a dozen times probably, where they're naming a dinosaur or they're naming a prehistoric creature, and then later on, they're changing the name because they realize they hurry up and name something before they really realize that, hey, maybe that name was already taken by a spider. There was even dinosaurs named, and there was already a name for insects, and they didn't realize it. So they published it, then they realized later on, we made this mistake. So we're making all kinds of mistakes, trying to be the first to make these discoveries, trying to be the first to name more dinosaurs, you guys. We're finding cool things, but we're also making mistakes, which is also hurting the science of paleontology, okay? So you guys, sometimes I mentioned they rushed to publish their discoveries, made all kinds of errors. This created mistakes for everyone in the scientific community. So everyone is feeling the effects of the Bone Wars who's in the science of paleontology. Now, you guys, some good did come from the Bone Wars, okay? So even though the rivalry became messy, It pushed both scientists to work faster and explore new places for fossils. This helped start the golden age of dinosaur discoveries. By the end of the Bone Wars, you guys, Marsh and Cope had helped uncover huge amounts of dinosaur fossils and inspired many other scientists to study the prehistoric world. Some of the most famous dinosaurs we know today were found during this time, including, think about Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Allosaurus, Diplodocus, you guys, are dinosaurs found back during the famous Bone Wars. Now, in total, the two scientists named over 130 species of dinosaurs. And because of their discoveries, museums began building dinosaur exhibits, and paleontology became a major field of science. So even though Marsh and Cope were always fighting, you guys, their competition had actually helped the study of dinosaurs and the science of paleontology. Bravo, bravo! So essentially, you guys, two paleontologists, friends at first, become bitter rivals and enemies, looking for fossils faster, quicker than the other one, sending spies, doing sabotage, dynamite, looking for all kinds of bones, making errors in publishing new species, getting some correctly, but essentially opening the door for so many dinosaurs during the golden age of the dinosaurs. So that, you guys, is the Bone Wars in a nutshell, or a fossil shell, or in just a fossil, or in just a rock, or a geode. We'll hammer open the geode. And that is the Bone Wars. All right, perfect. Let me go through my chat here really quick. Sorry, David, I was so down into the Bone Wars, I didn't look at my chat too much right here. Dum-ba-da-dum-bum-bum. Let's see. Thunder, because your video is posted. Oh, yeah, you saw my video? Yeah, I did a Thunderstruck YouTube short, an Instagram, Facebook Reel, a TikTok. I did the Thunderstruck song showcasing the Dino Bus Studio. O.C. Marsh wanted his brain weighed when he died to prove his brain It was the other way around, David. It was Edward Cope. He believed, so when he passed away, Edward Cope donated his brain to science. And I believe his whole body, actually. But he wanted his brain weighed. So they took out his head. They opened up, remember that endocast we talked last week? They took out his brain. He wanted it weighed in hopes that when O.C. Marsh died, he would do the same thing so that they could weigh each other's brains. And they believed, even though we know it's not true how big your brain is technically not how smart you can be. But Edward Cope, the rivalry got so down to it that Edward Cope wanted to get his brain weighed so he could say he was smarter than O.C. Marsh. That's just wild. That should have been illegal, and both should have gone to jail. That's right, David. We're going to lock up these paleontologists in the cell, in the paleontology dungeon that we know as the fossil Alcatraz, where the paleontologists who stab each other's work go to live out their days in solitude. When did the Bone Wars end? So the Bone Wars, remember the rivalry started in the late 1868, I believe. It's really rocking and rolling in the 1870s. I believe a little bit going in the 1880s, I believe. I don't remember. They both passed away, I believe, in maybe the 1890s, the late 1890s, maybe right after the turn of the century in the 1900s. But yeah, I believe by 1890, the Bone Wars, they were still arguing in newspapers and doing all kinds of arguing behind the scenes, but they weren't essentially out looking for fossils and trying to still beat each other. Let's wave to Ranger Lace. My wife is leaving for work. We'll knock on the window. We'll give her a wave. See you later. She's going to Hitchcock Elementary. I'll be there in a little bit, you guys. 130 dinosaurs over how many years? So essentially, I would guess it would be somewhere probably around 15, 20 years, we're getting all those dinosaurs right there, all those different ones. Maybe 10 to 20, somewhere in there, David, we're getting all those dinosaurs. But you guys, that is the Bone Wars. Now it's time to move over to segment number 3. Let me grab my spinning wheel of dinosaur doom, and we will spin our wheel today and see who we get in this prehistoric cage match. Here we go. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Who we got? Yes! Yes! We're back, baby! We're back! Ranger Anthony, right there, baby! We are back! All right, let's remove Ranger Anthony. Remember, I brought to you Ranger Anthony was probably like episode 2, 3, or 4, somewhere in there. I secretly added him back to the list. Who will Ranger Anthony fight with? Let's see. Let's give it another spin here. Okay. Amargasaurus. All right, this is interesting because episode 2, 3, or 4, somewhere in there, a very early episode, you guys, I faced the Bahatosaurus. That is a sauropod where its quills on the back of its neck somewhat face forward. Now I've got an Amargasaurus. This one, its quills are on its neck facing more back towards its tail. So, what are the odds that happens again? 2 sauropods, both with neck quills. I'm fighting them. But what we're going to do for science, we're going to spin the wheel a 3rd time. I am riding into battle on the Amargasaurus, and we will be fighting another prehistoric creature that we will find out here as we spin the wheel. Come on. Don't do this. Don't do this. Impellosaurus. The Impellosaurus. All right, let me tell you about Impellosaurus is the vineyard lizard. This is another sauropod that had like scoots on its back, somewhat like a ankylosaur. All right, what we're going to do in favor of science, we're going to give the wheel a 4th spin. Ranger Anthony will be riding in on his herd of sauropods. We've got a Bahatosaurus, an Impellosaurus, and an Amargasaurus. Let's see. Let's give it one more spin. This will be it, I promise. I promise you, the last spin. All right. This is what we wanted. Therizinosaurus. All right. Before we ring the bell, let me set the stage for you, okay? This is what we're doing. David, in the chat, David said in honor of his birthday, happy birthday again to you, David. David's birthday was on Wednesday, May 13th. He should pick the winner. Well, David, let me tell you something. Ranger Anthony is in this battle. I shall pick the winner. All right, let me set the stage. So remember, early on in an early episode, I was battling the Bahatosaurus. It is a sauropod. Remember those quills on the back of its neck. I ended that battle. I was the winner. Now, I did not hurt or kill the Bahatosaurus. I essentially hopped on its back and rode its back into the sunset. So, this is how this battle is going to start today. Ranger Anthony on the Bahatosaurus is going to get 2 other friends. We've got an Impellosaurus, the vineyard lizard, and the Amargasaurus, the Lamarga lizard, okay? So we've got 3 sauropods. They're mid-level sauropods, so they're nothing like Brachiosaurus. So I've got 3 mid-level sauropods, and I'm on the Bahatosaurus. And what we're going to do is we're going to ride into battle against a Therizinosaurus. Now, not just any Therizinosaurus. This Therizinosaurus is the one from Jurassic World. Was it Dominion? That's the one where they go to, like, Europe, right? David, am I right? Was Therizinosaurus, is that Jurassic World Dominion? Was that Dominion? Yeah, because there was Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, Dominion, and then what was the last one? What was last year's Jurassic World? I already forgot. You know, why do they got to add these other names on them? Just be like Jurassic World 1, Jurassic World 2, Jurassic World 3, Jurassic World 4, Jurassic World 5. Boom. Simple. Easy. Done. All right, let's go ahead and enter into our cage match. All right, folks, we have got a great showdown for you. All right, Bahatosaurus. That one, you guys, that I'm riding into has those 2 rows of forward curving spines up to 40 feet long, 10 feet high, 5 tons. Okay, let's see. Amargasaurus, about the same, 43 feet long, 12 feet high. And then Impellosaurus, 52 feet long, 16 feet high. So Impellosaurus is the larger of the 3 sauropods. But we're going up against the Rebirth. Thank you, David. Rebirth was the last Jurassic World. Therizinosaurus, up to 33 feet long, 13 feet high, and could weigh 3 tons. A theropod, long arms with those 3-foot claws. All right, I think this one's easy. I think it's easy. Easy. All right. See, Therizinosaurus, is it theropod? It is a theropod. Is it a meat eater? Is it a carnivore? Is it an omnivore? Studies show it might be eating a little bit more of a plant life, but also eating some kind of carnivorous diet. It comes into the battle. It's got those 3-foot claws. I got one right there in my display case of Fossil Fun. So you guys, Therizinosaurus comes up into the battle, but it just comes up. And it looks up, you guys, because remember, Therizinosaurus, what was it? 13 feet high, on our Impellosaurus 16. So our sauropods are just a little bit higher than Therizinosaurus, not much. Therizinosaurus has those claws. Gosh, I made this too hard. I'm trying to think to myself, how could I even give Therizinosaurus a chance? And it would essentially, this is what would have to happen. Amargasaurus trips and falls as it slipped on a banana peel from the Cretaceous that somehow appeared through time travel. Our Amargasaurus falls down and breaks its ankle, can't get back up. Our Impellosaurus is walking along too, and all of a sudden it tears its Achilles tendon like Aaron Rodgers in the very first game of the Jets about 4 years ago, out for the count, and then it's just Bahatosaurus and Ranger Anthony. Bahatosaurus gets sliced with those Therizinosaurus claws on its ankles or its knees, its legs. Essentially, it goes down to one knee. Ranger Anthony slides off the back tail, and then Ranger Anthony runs for his life of Therizinosaurus. But that's not what we're going to do today. So in name of science, essentially, I'm holding my scepter, my huge fossil, or maybe my huge pickaxe as I'm on our Bahatosaurus in the center. I've got one flank, I've got my Impellosaurus, or the other flank I've got our Amargasaurus, and we just stampede. Now, we're not running very fast, but we're doing good enough to stampede on our Therizinosaurus. So today, you guys, essentially, our winner for episode 24 is Ranger Anthony and his herd of sauropods. Boom. All right, what do you guys think? Was that scientific enough for today's episode? David, is that how it would have went down? Is that how I would have just came out on top in that epic battle? I hope so. It would be great. Sauropods are probably my favorite dinosaur family. If I had to pick just one. Now, I don't want them having these little air sacs like we see in, what was that, Prehistoric Planet. That was kind of odd. But they're still really cool creatures. Sauropods for the win. Boom. All right, you guys, let's go ahead. We'll close out a few of these things right here. Definitely. Thank you, David. All right, we're going to minimize these friends. Let's see. Let's switch our camera back this way. Or maybe we'll go back this way. Boom. Or maybe this way. All right, let's go ahead and get our closing thoughts for today, okay, you guys? So today, you guys, right after this, why I started today's podcast early is because once I log off here, I got to drive to Hitchcock Elementary. My daughter, Reagan, as you guys have seen plenty of times, Junior Ranger Reagan, she's having her kindergarten class picnic. So I got to hurry up and grab my lunch, head over there to the class picnic, you guys, and meet them over at the park so we can enjoy it's beautiful here in Omaha today. What is it? Let's see, 75, you guys, sunny, looks like maybe a little bit of a small breeze. It will be perfect for a nice little picnic out there at the park. So I'm going to go hang out with them a little bit. My wife's already on the way there because she teaches music there, so she has to go there. But you guys, we're going to go enjoy a nice picnic. Again, you guys, I already mentioned, but one of our podcast super fans, David, you guys, he shared his birthday on Wednesday. So happy birthday again to you, David. I hope you have an amazing weekend. And I might even see you here in just a little bit as well. So I hope everyone has a great weekend ahead, you guys. Next Friday could possibly, let me break the news. Next Friday could possibly be my last podcast that is the same every week. So, as you guys know, I've been recording these podcasts 11 a.m. Central Standard Time every Friday since October, November, and it's been tons of fun, and I enjoy doing it, but my summertime, what happens is my summer is booked solid. So 11 a.m. on Fridays is gone. There is no 11 a.m. on Fridays because I get so many bookings from schools, daycares, libraries, birthday parties. You know it. All kinds of fun stuff. So my calendar is so full that I won't be able to consistently do a podcast every Friday or every Wednesday on this date. So what's going to have to happen is I'm going to have to maybe sit down and maybe do one every other week and try and find the perfect spots to put them into my schedule. And what I like to do is, you guys, every weekend, I like to make the video on YouTube, and then what happens is it shows upcoming video. So when you go to my YouTube channel, you go to live, it'll say upcoming video, and you'll see that I have scheduled a video for next Friday at 10 a.m., which you can see now if you go on there, and if you go check, you'll see what our podcast theme is for next week. So if you want a little sneak peek, go to my YouTube channel, hit live, and you'll see it'll say upcoming episode, and you'll be able to see what my our episode theme is for next week if you want a little bit of a sneak peek. So essentially, stay tuned. I'll hopefully be able to knock out some podcasts during the summertime. My summer is just so wild and busy. I want to put all my energy to the live performances, the shows, and hopefully what happens is I've got flyers that I made this year that will allow children to easily subscribe to my YouTube channel. So when I go visit all these schools and libraries, daycares all summer, I'll hand out these flyers, and hopefully I can get an influx of new subscribers to YouTube. And then when I come back in August, full force, Fridays, 11 a.m., if we still do that exact same time, then I'll have a lot more subscriber base as well, too. So August, for sure, I'll be back to a consistent every week schedule. Whether that's Friday at 11 a.m., I'll be able to reassess it and see. What sucks is during the school day. So when I have preschoolers or homeschool students, they can listen easily on Fridays at 11 a.m. But other children that are in public schools, private schools, they're not listening, so they have to listen to the recording later on. So what is finding that perfect spot? Maybe Wednesdays at like 3 o'clock, because I know a lot of kids get out of school early on Wednesdays, so that might be something we might do in August. But anyway, we'll get to a bunch of that next week, okay? Let's go ahead. I just got our joke for today. Looks like it. All right. What's a dinosaur's favorite candy? What is it? What is a dinosaur's favorite candy? Is it Hershey's from that Willy Wonka factory? I love Willy Wonka. It's so cool. I won't get it too much in it. Cliff notes, because we're in a joke. No, I'll wait till after the joke. What's a dinosaur's favorite candy? What's a dinosaur's favorite candy? What about is it Jurassic Bark? It's Jurassic Bark. Kind of like, you get bark of like caramel and chocolate, but instead of Jurassic Park, it's Jurassic Bark. Not barking like a dog. Hoo! It's bark like the candy bark. Get it? I hope so. But anyways, you guys, when I was probably like 2nd, 3rd grade, I watched the original Willy Wonka. And I remember sending a letter to the Hershey Chocolate Factory in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And I sent them a letter and said, hey, you guys should do, not thinking about copyright rules as a kid. I was like, you guys should do some kind of golden ticket. And they wrote back to me and everything. I'm pretty sure hopefully my mom still has it. I should ask her whatever happened to that. Unless my dad took it. It might be up in his attic somewhere in storage. I'll have to ask around. But I remember they wrote me back a letter and explained, we can't do that. But it was still very cool learning as like a 2nd or 3rd grader that I got a letter back from the Hershey Company. So very, very cool. But anyways, you guys, let's go ahead and end our podcast for today. I have to hurry up and shut down my computer, grab my keys, out the door in the Jurassic Jeep, get to Hitchcock Elementary, get to the park, enjoy a picnic, get back home, do some work on my new show, have a virtual lesson with a very special guest, and all kinds of fun stuff for later this evening. But you guys, let's go ahead and wrap up our podcast for today. Now, always remember, thanks to the dinosaurs for giving us this passion. But this is our world now. Get out there, do something good, and never be afraid to show your claws. Ranger Anthony signing out. We'll see you guys later.